There you go.
You did.
All right, 6:01, we'll go ahead and get started. We'll call this meeting, Bryant City Council Workshop to order. Thank you, everybody. We don't have any old business. I want to jump right in. Thanks, everybody, for being here, for traveling. I'm very excited to introduce you all to this team that we've been working with, and excited to introduce to everybody. What I want to do is we'll go through introductions, and then I'm going to allow them to kind of introduce their other team members that are here, and allow them to kind of brag on themselves and what they bring to the table. But before that, I want to just, three things I hope we all walk away with tonight, all right, our goals. First, I want everybody to understand that we are in process, that we've gotten to this stage of this project. We're going to talk about how we got here, but there's a lot to do between now and when we ask council to set a special election. So I want everybody to understand that there's a lot of details and a lot of work to be done before we have the actual product and all the details of who, what, when, where, how, that we will have ready for everybody in January. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I'll just bring you up to speed. We've been living with this for a while and working on it, and it's kind of like you get into the minutia and you think, man, everybody else doesn't know what's going on. And so we're really excited to make sure publicly that everybody's kind of up to speed on this project. And then most of all, the third thing, the biggest thing tonight is this team. Okay, and I've told them all this. The credibility they bring to this project is what I'm most confident in, and I believe the residents of Bryant will be most confident in when we say to them, we'd like you to say yes to this, right? We brought a great team to the table. So anyway, we're still in process, right? We're at this phase, but there's a lot more to do. We want to bring you up to speed. I want you to know everything we know, and then introduce the team. So first, let's start with the introductions. We've got some council members here: Wade, Lisa, Jack, our current members of council, and will be sworn in for another 2 years, January 2nd. Shane Knight, our CEO, president of our chamber, Ted Taylor, who is our planning director of community development, does a whole lot of stuff. Walter Burgess is council member elect, so he won't be voting next week on things, but he will be on council in January. And then we'll start. We got David Porter with Stanley Wilcox, Rick Wilson with Wilson Enterprises, and Peter Lane with Walton Arts Center. And we'll start with Rick. Introduce yourself. Tell us about your expertise. Brag on yourself a little bit. Oh, it's not easy, Rick.
Well, it's a good thing my wife didn't come, because she wouldn't allow me. She would, everything I would point out that would be braggadocious about myself, I'm sure she would have something contradictory to say. So I can get past that tonight, and that's a good thing. We really want to appreciate the city of Bryant reaching out to us several months ago to ask us if we'd like to be a part of this truly, what I believe will be ultimately a magnificent venue. Assuming the voters approve this, and it seems as though it might be very successful. We're excited to have introduced a few other people at the table, namely Peter Lane, the Walton Arts Center, and his amazing staff. some of the top guys of which are with him tonight, and David Porter, and CEO of Coach Stanley Wilcox, a beyond reputable architect, especially for this particular venue in Arkansas. Very happy to have introduced these guys, and very happy that you've decided to acclaim them for this project. Our company was started by my dad in the 60s. When I give this speech, and I've given it before city council members before and council and planning commissioners all over the country, no, I wasn't an executive or an employee of the company in the 60s when I was in the first and second grade, but if my dad had had his way, trust me, I would have been. So I took that company over a little over 20 years ago, and he was primarily a general contractor and excavator that did a lot of local work in central Arkansas, and he and another partner he had were instrumental in building Walmart's number 3 through 13. My dad mustered out of World War II with a guy by the name of Sam Walton. gave him a ride from Malvern when they took a ship from, I'm not sure where they left from, but they landed and shipped into New York Harbor when they dropped all those troops off in this troop ship. They rode a train back to Malvern, which was the nearest depot, was the one in Hot Springs, and my dad's older brother picked him up, and then Sam didn't have a ride to Northwest Arkansas, so his older brother gave him a ride to Northwest Arkansas, and he told him, he said, I'm gonna, of course he, in the story, went to work in his family store up there, the museum, and the history with Sam and all of his amazing success, and he said, one day, he said, my dad's name was Pete, and he said, Pete, I want to make you a lot of money when he's going to make you a rich guy. And of course, he was broke and had $6 in his pocket. Shot all the pieces from World War II, the gas sound, yeah. And so he called him one day and he said, I want you to build me a store. He said, I can't pay you anything. You're going to have to own it. You got to find the money to do it. And he said, I'll give you a little bit of rent, and I'll give you some stock from a company that I'll one day take public. And so he did pretty good off that through the years. So we've come a long way since then, and a lot of business, and we've owned a lot of businesses, Wilson Enterprises and affiliates. We have a lot of companies that we own and control around the country and have over the years. We develop, and we're primarily we specialize in general development and construction management services. We're also an investor. We like to own. We own a lot of real estate around the country, and most of our projects, we have a financial interest in them. To date, we're bumping on about 4.9 million square feet of developed properties. We have a deep staff in our company. We're dyed-in-the-wool Arkansas people. We're most all of our staff and our team is from Arkansas. We were mostly educated here. We develop and specialize and construct in 38 states, as well as 2 other countries we're licensed in. I'm going to go straight into, and I can sit here and talk about individual projects and just bore you to death, and I won't go any more with that. We have to answer anybody's questions. But our staffing is something we're pretty proud of. It's going to be a big, colossal, important piece of this project. For the 2 phases that we are primarily a CMAR, construction manager at risk, and signing on for in this project. The first phase being a design phase, we have, in my opinion, a lesser role than these 2 gentlemen on my left and right. These guys are going to make up 99% of that team. Our job is to, quote unquote, manage them, and Chief General Counsel of our company, Larry Yancey, and Executive Vice President, who is here and wrote our agreement. He wrote in that word manage, and then I asked him several times, what exactly about Peter Lane and David Porter are we going to manage? And he said, well, legal terms, don't worry about it. And so We're not exactly sure what we're gonna do, other than arrange maybe meeting dates and provide coffee and donuts or something like that.
Do the donuts.
So these guys, this is the real brain power. It's gonna actually be the creator of what this thing will be designed to ultimately look like, feel like, act like, and function like. And these guys they really know what they're doing there. Our team, which is made up of our director of construction, will assign a project manager, a project coordinator of logistics, vendors, material, and supplies, 2 site superintendents, 1 for site work, 1 for building work, specializing in building, a project accountant, project legal services, a lawyer assigned to project surveyor, and project public relations, and a safety coordinator. That is pretty much going to be what we envision at this point to make up our team, our construction-sided team. It's the size of the staff of about 10 to 12 people that will have a day-to-day direct involvement in all of the construction activities from permit out. Some of those guys will be involved from time to time in the design team. After the architects can move into, when they can get a little beyond civil, and they're bringing civil engineers in, another great team headed by John Rogers of Craft and Toll, where they do all of our work, and they work with those guys, and they work with Ted and the city. We're real proud to have him. In fact, John Rogers, I think a native of Bryan. We're real happy about that. Once they get well into civil and they get beyond stormwater and foundations on that, and these architects can really start writing up stuff and go vertical and giving us some ideas and concepts, and really get into heavy structural design. We'll have our director of construction in our company, and probably a project coordinator begin to sit in on those meetings. Those guys have, and we have in our library of software knowledge, we have costing elements and data real time of every material that we will put in and on this property. And our goal will be to, since we're going to design and build a venue for a fixed amount of money, if you will, and that's one of the obligations of my company is to give. We've been a CMAR, construction manager risk in projects, not so much for our build-to-suit customers, but in one-offs. We've worn that hat before, and that's a box. That's when you have a fixed amount of money, and if we go beyond that, my company writes checks instead of the city of Bryan. So we're going to make sure we design something and construct something to satisfy this man's operation, because this man, he and his team, they've succeeded, period, everywhere, and they always will. And they have to have it function in order for it, and you, as the city of Bryan, needs this facility and venue to function in a true success from the day it opens for the next 50, 75, 100 years, whatever. So we have to, our job will be to, if you will, as these guys begin to design and begin to come up with things, our job is going to be at real-time costing and continuously costing. And I know we work with architects all the time, every day. And I know it gets frustrating for them to say, well, we can't afford that. We have to find another way to value engineer that, which is a good term, it's a positive term. But it nonetheless is going to be our job. That's the way we see our role in the design phase of this. If you bother to read the contracts that the mayor's provided in our contract, it gives you an enormous amount of detail, breakdown about our design phase, our schematic design phase, and then our construction phase. Welcome you to read that. Maybe you have, be happy to answer questions. I'm not going to bore you going through each and every one of those little line items here tonight. Then the construction phase, we really kick into gear, and we go into 90%, 95%, bringing it about, and the architects assist us on a step-by-step. And then Peter and his people, I'm sure, will be looking over our shoulder saying, that's the wrong color, we need to change that, and this is not that. And I'm sure it'll work quite well together during that aspect of it. And I have a feeling I know which one of the guys is going to do that. And we like them all, wonderful people. Can't be more proud to sit at the table with more great people. And by the way, and I'm going to say this loud and clear, all over the city of Bryan, you got one hell of a mayor here, I'm telling you. This guy is a good man. He's well intended, he's got Bryant thinking forward all the way. Real excited about it. I'm finished, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Rick, especially that last part.
You like that?
David?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Rick. Yeah, I'm David Porter. I'm a partner and CEO of Polk Stanley Wilcox Architects. And you know us maybe about a few projects that we've done. Our firm has been in business for 47 years, based in Little Rock. We also have an office in Fayetteville, where we've had the chance to work with Peter and his crew over the years, our group up there. Before I go any further, I want to recognize Reese, or y'all introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Bruce Wallman, David's partner. We've been working together for, 28 years. So happy to be here.
Amanda Sturgill, I actually graduated from Bryant High School, and the whole reason I have this career is because of Miss Norris's civil engineering class.
Nice.
Which was the closest thing to architecture at the school at the time. So I'm really thrilled to be the project architect for this job.
Amanda still lives in Saline County. We have two other staff members that are Bryant graduates and are live in Bryant that are also part of our team. So we feel like our team is personally invested in this project. We love being able to work in their community as our company. You know, our company we've been really blessed with working on some significant, what we call landmark projects. And you would know them, I started naming them out. And there are things that we've done plenty of banks, and we've done plenty of corporate offices and things that are for-profits in our career. But the things that have meant the most to us, frankly, are things that we've done with communities, with civic, that are with nonprofits, and things that make a difference in people's lives and in the lives of communities. They are places where people gather. They're places that are meaningful to raise the quality of life in communities, and those are all over Arkansas and some even outside the state, but primarily in Arkansas. And I won't bore you with flipping through our slideshow either. You'll be able to see those, but we are so excited. We couldn't ask for a better team, and I just want to emphasize something Rick said, that it's really important that y'all have made a decision to try to execute this project with this process, with a team up front, collaborating together, construction manager, your operator, your design team, along with the stakeholders around this table, and that are all behind me. It's the whole community, everybody's stakeholders in this, and we're all going to hold each other accountable. And that's what gets you to the end, a good end result. And we work with construction managers. That's our, primary way of delivering projects these days. And it allows us to, from day one, have those checks and balances on design, cost. And we have, at every phase, there are at least three, and, these guys would add some more, but there are three filters that we've got to look at every step, and that is cost and schedule, program / design, if you will. Program, schedule, budget. And at any point, and that's what Rick and his team that's what they're gonna manage with us, is we're gonna make sure we're aligned at every step, because if we don't course correct early at the earliest step that we might be off, you'll never bring it back.
Right.
And you've got to course correct early, and that's why the team together can do that. We've got to deliver a venue that Peter can bring and sell and be successful in. So he's going to help us course correct. We're going to be working with our team, and we have a great team. Crafton Tulls already mentioned. We have another team of structural engineers, mechanical, electrical folks, all the way up through. We'll be bringing on theatrical and acoustical people. We've had a chance to work on a lot of performance venues in our history. We bring a lot of perspective on a lot of different types. We've worked with a lot of theatrical and acoustical and AV consultants, and so we're excited about this. We're excited for our team that lives here to be a part of it, and couldn't be more thrilled. You know, our contract that you have also is pretty straightforward as far as, a standard American Institute of Architect basic form. Most of those provisions we vetted out. I would certainly vetted out all those provisions, and you have those. We'll answer questions later if you have specific questions about it. But I just want to say how thrilled we are to be here and be a part of this team. And we start every project like it's we get. Frankly, one of my old, partners who's retired now used to say, hiring architects and team of contractors kind of like getting married. We're going to be hooked up arm in arm for a long time here, and we take on projects for the life of the project. We want you to call us, 10 years from now when there's something that needs to be done. There's, something that's, we've gone back and done remodels with Peter on projects after, the next phase. So we're with you for the history of this project, and that's why we decided to start it now.
Thank you, Dave. I'm excited to have you. All right, Peter Lane.
Thank you. I'm Peter Lane. I'm the president and CEO of Walton Arts Center. So I'm not really sure how much you want to know about me, but I'll do a little elevator speech. I grew up as a musician, learning to play the cello and being a professional bass player by the time I was 15, and took myself through college and thought I was going to play in the symphony orchestra for the rest of my life. That didn't work out, but a guy that was a conductor of a youth orchestra asked me one day to come down and help him manage, and I became a part-time manager of the orchestra that I grew up in. Ended up taking them all over the world, to Europe as a manager, and started in orchestra management. Ended up taking a job at Carnegie Hall running the New York Pops. There's a guy by the name of Skitch Henderson. Some people long in the tooth might remember that name. Anyway, I ran his independent Pops orchestra for 10 years, then was recruited to Philadelphia to run the summer home of the Philadelphia Orchestra called the Mann Center, which we did a complete renovation and put them from bankruptcy back into up on their feet. And then I was recruited in 2009 to come to the Walton Arts Center. Honestly, I thought I was going to be there 3 years. It is now 16, and one of the reasons I stayed in Arkansas was because of growth opportunity. And one of the things many of you know is Northwest Arkansas has seen an explosion of growth and support for the arts, and so had a real opportunity to grow the organization. We acquired the Walmart Amp, which was a tent in the parking lot owned by my esteemed colleague here, who I'm going to introduce in a second. And we then ended up building the Walmart Amp. So we run the Walton Arts Center. We run the Walmart Amp. We are a $60 million operating organization, probably one of the larger Group 1 tiered performing arts centers in the country. I call us a top 50 in terms of we present over 300 events a year. We sold, I think this last year, over 520,000 tickets, which is more than the home games of the Razorback football game. We're not going there. But more importantly, we serve a lot of people with a lot of different programs. Our mission is really focused on serving our community, and that has to do with arts, cultural arts programs, so access programs, education programs. Tens of thousands of children receive all kinds of free arts initiatives. Many of our programs are low cost, and our business model we call Rock Pays for Bach. The net revenue that we make from the Walmart Amp, along with fundraising, helps support our cultural and outreach initiatives. This project is one that I think has captured our imagination largely because I think it can do both. It can be a place where a community can gather, we can do entertainment, we can do culture, we can do community, and there is no venue of this type yet in the state. And so this is one that we're very, very intrigued by and very interested in. I'm accompanied today by two of my colleagues. One is Jeff Mann, who is our Chief Operating Officer. And Jeff, maybe you could take a minute and just explain the background.
I'm Chief Operating Officer for the Walton Arts Center, the Walmart Amp. With 25 years experience in the sports and entertainment venue world. First part of my career was really focused on NBA and NHL arenas. Did that several locations, Boston, Phoenix, Charlotte, North Carolina. Shifted over to more of an entertainment focus with Live Nation. I've run theaters and amphitheaters for them as well. So about the last 10 years, I've been focused primarily in entertainment. Joined the Walton Arts Center 2.5 years ago, and really enjoying my time in Northwest Arkansas. And I would echo everything Peter said about this project. It's really something that's intriguing to me. I've handled capital projects throughout my career, up into the millions of dollars, but creating a venue from the ground up is really exciting.
Thank you, Jeff. Brian Crown is our Vice President of the Walmart AMP and Strategic Initiatives. So Brian is the one who owned the Walmart AMP. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to look, so I apologize. Came aboard about 6 months after I joined, and we haven't been able to separate in terms of our ability to think about big picture items. But Brian, maybe you can give a background on you.
Sure, Brian Crown, Peter said what my title is. Born and raised in Arkansas. Northwest Arkansas has been home for me. I grew up in Fort Smith, but I've been in Fayetteville since late 89, 90. Spent about 20 years as a full-time musician for a living, so Peter and I have a similar background there. About 20 years ago, had an opportunity to move into venue ownership and concert promoting. My wife and I own George's Majestic Lounge in Fayetteville. It's a 97-year-old entertainment venue. I joke and say we're 20 years into a 3 to 5 year plan in that endeavor. We've been blessed to be successful. We definitely are part of our community as well as a venue. And when I met Peter Lane many years ago, one of the first things I asked him, I said, "What are you doing in Arkansas?" Just I was intrigued, and he shared what he shared. Growth opportunities. I think they intrigue creatives and entrepreneurial type of folks, which I'm one of those guys that probably cursed to use both sides of my brain. And I remember a friend of mine told me when I said I was going to go to work with Peter Lane at the Walton Arts Center, knowing that I had been an indie guy. He's like, "You're not going to last a year." I think we're in year 15 now together. And it's been a lot of fun to be a part of an amazing team and be able to dream and under promise and over deliver. And I'm proud of that's what we've been able to be a part of in our community and what we deliver. And this project is very intriguing. Like Peter said, there's not a venue like this, in our state, and we're excited to be considered to be part of this project. So thank you.
In closing, I guess I would just say that the Walmart AMP is considered, according to Pollstar, one of the top 30 amphitheaters in the country. The Walton Arts Center is really an unusual hall because it's 1,200 seats, yet we are the smallest venue in the country to have Hamilton twice. And the last time they actually came to launch their last tour. And so I think the reputation of the quality of the programs we do, but also the team that we have over 106 employees. Many of them have been in the industry for a long time. Very, very talented, very thoughtful, and truly one of the greatest groups of people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I think my hope is, as this project continues, we can draw on some of the talent that we have there to be able to add value to this in some way.
So you see why I'm excited for you to meet the team. It's kind of like All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend, right? Shane will talk about Apex Project. One of the things I wanted to give him plenty of time to share with you is this is an economic development project, right? We see it as culturally wonderful to serve the residents of Bryant, but when they start asking us, why is this important at this time? And it's a big economic opportunity for us, especially when it comes to our sales tax and what what we see this being able to fund and pour back into our community, because just like everybody's going to ask, we got a lot of things that need to get done in Bryant. We've got really good problems because it's about growth, right? And so we see this at this time in our history as really valuable on the life of our city's economy. And so Shane's been the driver of this from day one. So bring us up to speed, Shane. How'd you get us here?
How'd they get us here? Well, my conversations with the Bryant Chamber began in March. They were looking for a new president and CEO that would take the chamber in a different direction than it had been for a number of years, to rebrand it, to rebuild some relationships and do some different things, but to focus on economic development, to focus on the city of Bryant and bringing Bryant projects, both on the retail side, the restaurant, commercial, and they even posed the question of, Shane, what can we do on the industrial side? Which is my background, is on the industrial side and the infrastructure side in Southeast Arkansas, Mississippi, and Northeast Louisiana. So came on board mid-April, and one thing about my personality is I only have one gear, and that's sleep a couple of hours at night and work the rest of it. So I jumped on this project from a demographic standpoint. I began to study Bryant. We've lived in Saline County since 2006, but I needed to do a deep dive in our local economy. I needed to see what our strengths were, what our weaknesses are, and then my philosophy is you play to that strength. The first thing that you will come to grips with is we are not an industrial economy. We do not have an industrial park. We may have one day in the future, I don't know, but we do not right now. We do not necessarily have a large skilled trade population. So you have to play to that strength. You back up and you say, okay, what are you? We are right now a community of 22,248 people according to current census. We're a community that is growing to the tune of about 375 a year. We are a highly educated community. Almost 38% of our population has a bachelor's degree or higher. Okay? And when you look at that, then you say, okay, what do they do? Right now, it's kind of surprising. 22% of our population works in the healthcare industry, which means they are educated. They have some advanced degrees. And then the remainder is divided out from education to government to financials and things of that nature. And then what you see too is you see a demographic of an age group that averages 37 years old. Just under 2 years younger than the average age in Arkansas. So we have a highly educated, younger group that is also married at the 64% rate, and of that 64%, within that 64%, 18 have children 18 years or younger. So we got young families, highly educated, employed. Our employment rate in the city of Bryant is sub 3%, and it stayed that way for a number of years. So then we don't have, going back to that industrial component, we don't necessarily have the available workforce to outfit a 300, 500, 600 employee situation, okay? So then you back up and you take a look at everything else from that standpoint, from financial glasses. You look and see where we're at as a community financially. And right now, the city of Bryant, according to World Population Review, our average income for these households is $92,691. You take that and you expand upon it. Where do we rank in the state of Arkansas? Where do we rank among other Class A cities? And there's an outlier there that when you look at it, you're going to lean back in your chair and you're going to go, now that is significant. They looked at communities in Northwest Arkansas, Central, Western Arkansas. They looked up and top the entire gamut of Class A cities. Bryant ranks number 4 in the number of households that exceed $100,000 a year in income. They're in the top 25% for $200,000 or more in income. And what that translates is this. When you go back and you look at a study, back in 1998, Joseph Pine and James Gilmore conducted a study called The Experience Economy, where millennials and younger generations aren't like us old guys, where I want a bass boat and a camper and go somewhere and hide and leave me alone. They're looking for the experience. They will pay big bucks to go to a concert, to go to a show, to hit a zip line, to go to Top Golf, whatever it may be, so they can take pictures, put it on Instagram, put it on Facebook, whatever social media outlet they have. They will pay top dollar for that experience. So when you take that in perspective and you look at all the demographics and you look at what economic direction do we want to take Bryant, you sit back and you come to the conclusion it's the experience economy. It is about entertainment. It is about creating an economic driver within this city that benefits from a tax base, your government operations, but then has a positive impact upon our already existing businesses by increasing revenue streams for them, and then also adding a component of attraction for our city that turns the attention on Bryant to say, that's where we need to build next. That is where we need to go. So I just coined or brought up the phrase Apex Project. The project that is top of the mountain. The project that is the main domino that when tipped over will put the others into play. From retail recruitment, restaurant recruitment, commercial recruitment, and hopefully somewhere down the line, we see that opportunity for some small, light industrial recruitment in certain areas of our county and community, okay? So I had a picture, I had an idea, and then I knew, based on all of my experiences, if you're going to make this come to fruition, you have to go and team with the best. Rick Wilson and I made contact with each other a little over 3 years ago, and we were talking about a very similar project. And that project didn't come to fruition for whatever reasons. He took that concept and he looked at another place. It didn't come to fruition for whatever reason. So I gave him a call and I said, Rick, is this concept still in play? And he said, yes, it is. It's still in play. Let me send you a design that Polk Stanley put together. You take a look at it and tell me what you think. We looked at it. I liked it. Sent it back to him and said, what does it take to make this type of project happen? Where do I need to start? He said, Shane, go find me some land. Okay? Commercial land inside the city limits of Bryant. That's first priority. Tax base inside the city limits is a premium. Land on the commercial side with good access, highway or interstate, ranges anywhere between $900,000 and $265,000 an acre just to get to the table to talk about. Okay? I found 30 acres. We had a price point that was well below that, and I knew that if this conversation was going to move forward, to bring the players to the table necessary for it to have relevancy, we needed to have some type of agreement on that land to continue to move the conversation forward. That's where the land on Alcoa come into play. We had 30 acres. We had an agreed upon price point that was within a budget. Had it, then I come to the mayor. I said, Mayor, here's what we've got. We've got land. Where can we find the financing? What can we do economically to bring this driver to town? He said, we've got a bond that's going to come available in 2025 if the citizens of Bryant so choose to vote to extend the financing of that bond to this project. I said, are you for it? Showed him the financials. He said, let's continue the conversation. We took the property. Property was announced. It happens. That's great. Folks knew about it, but we began to hear and listen of concerns and questions. We communicate those concerns and questions back and forth. And through Rick's connections, he contacted Walton Arts and said, this is what this community's thinking about. What's your idea? And they said, well, listen, we hear the concerns, we hear the issues, but we're thinking about going a different direction. We're looking at something different than what we already have. And that's where the what do we call it? What's this? The
Pivot?
not some pivot. I liked his term, course correction.
Course correction.
Okay, this course correction, where we take in the concerns of the citizens, you take in the economics, but here was another factor in this that worked out fabulously. This town hall type, this indoor type facility, rather than being just available select months out of the year, would now be available 365. It would be year-round opportunities, but we also were able to reduce our footprint. We didn't need 30 acres anymore. So we went and found 15 acres that were less per acre, that put approximately 1.7 million back into the project, but it moved the project from the Alcoa area to what you see up here, folks, on Highway 5, right across the street from Marketplace, in the heart of Bryant, which, from an economic guy, it tells me now the city has greater opportunity to capture residual income that this type of facility would produce. So I went and had 3 conversations. My first conversation was with a gentleman named Brian Kirkorian. How many of you guys know the best pizza in Bryant? Different dough pizza, right? So I went and sat down with Brian. He didn't know why I was coming, and I didn't know what he was going to tell me. I said, Brian, how are you doing? He said, dude, I am doing great, but I got to move. I can't stay here much longer. I need 3-phase electrical. Right now I'm on 2-phase because I need a bigger oven so I can make more pizzas. I'm going to have to move. And I said, Brian, let me give you a what if. What if we put across the street from you the facility that we're discussing today? He said, Shane, are you serious? I said, Dad, I'm serious as a heart attack. I'm working on this. We've got agreements in play. He said, Shane, if you can do this and the residents go for it and everything happens, I'm going to stay right here and I will make the personal investment to put 3-phase in, and then I'm going to call the landlord and say, I need the room next to me so I can expand. I'm going to stay right here. My next conversation were to 2 gentlemen that are responsible for Marketplace. And I brought them up to speed on the situation. Told them what we were looking at for the future. And big thumbs up from those 2 gentlemen. They like it because they see an opportunity. And then some loose conversations with some of the tenants within Marketplace. Meaning the boutiques and a couple of the smaller restaurants there. They understand right now that economy is driven by one restaurant that brings in the vast majority of traffic flow and footsteps within that area. And they said, Shane, if something like this were to happen, instead of us closing at 5 o'clock, we're staying open till 8 or 9 o'clock. Because if there's something going on that close that's going to bring in a good number of people, then we stay open and we make more money. And the more money that's made in this city, the more tax revenue that's generated that goes to parks, animal control, police, fire, stormwater, et cetera, et cetera. So much so, I was in a meeting about a week and a half ago in Little Rock. I was with a couple of lobby firms and some senators, and we're getting ready for this legislative session. And they said, Shane, I hear a rumor you're working on something. I said, your rumor is correct. And they said, you know what? If you do this, if this happens, you need to connect that venue on that 15 acres to the Marketplace. And I said, what do you mean? And you know how senators are. And what are senators? These were senators from other parts of the state that are watching what's happening here. They said, you need a sky bridge. You need something that connects Marketplace and this venue to where people can go to Copper Mule and have a good dinner and leave their car, go shopping, and then walk across Highway 5 that's going to be 5-lane and go watch a show. I said, are you willing to come to the table and help us make that happen when it does? They said, absolutely. You just tell us when and where. We'll get Senator Hammer, and now Senator Hammer, RJ, whoever we need to get, we will work with RDOT to see that happen. I said, very good. Made a note of it. You know I don't forget either. And they said, we know you don't. So here's what economic development does in my eyes, guys. This is what I want you to think about. To the west is Lowry Lane. To the east is Marketplace Avenue. Just to the south there is Progress Way. This is my what if. And this is a very good what if. This type of venue comes into play, it's constructed, it's rocking and rolling, and it's doing things that just absolutely puts us at awe. And then to the north of that, the individuals that are selling the city this property, they have first right of refusal to the land just to the north of it. What if one day, very likely, we connect Lowry to Marketplace and we create a loop? And then Bryant has something that I have been told since I moved here in 2006. Bryant needs a downtown. We need something that we can hang our hat on because the school is as great as it is. We need something else. So I sat down and I started looking at this and how everything can come out and how everything can take shape. And I look at our future downtown. I look at, and I'm not kidding you, and I've already communicated this to council and the mayor. I look forward to the day that the chamber can say, you know what, it's time for Bryant to have their Christmas parade back. We got a route. Lowry, Progress Way, and Marketplace. We have an opportunity for a community Christmas tree. We have an opportunity with this Apex project to develop everything that I have heard in the city of Bryant for almost 20 years now. This is our opportunity. I like it to this. This is our fastball right down the middle. And the pitcher has tipped his pitch. And he says, here it comes. We just need to be ready to swing. And that opportunity is coming. This is an opportunity from looking at some initial economic drivers, from ticket sales potential in comparison to this. I look at the Robinson Center Music Hall in Little Rock. It was built 85 years ago this year. It seats 2,200 people. It has seated 2,200 people since its inception. And it's still there 85 years to the date. So I look at it like this. What will Bryant look like in 85 years when this Apex project comes to fruition and all of those other dominoes start to fall? To this point, I think, am I free to say the two? Okay. We've had 2 restaurants that have contacted. They've been in touch with the city, and they are in preparations to submit site plans for construction. Panera Bread and Chipotle. I got a phone call, and I've been in touch with a barbecue place from Northwest Arkansas that I bet you have been to a few times. And last name starts with a W. They said, Shane, send me some of your land that you have available. We're interested. Done. They have it in their possession. I've been in talks with them on a regular basis. Got a phone call from Outback Steakhouse. I don't mind mentioning them. They said, Shane, we need land. So I contacted a gentleman that has some land in that area, and I said, do I have your permission to give them your name and phone number? He said, absolutely. So this is all just off the talk of this. Okay? When this happens on May 13th, 2025, when these 2 initiatives go for a vote and Bryant residents vote yes on both of them, I fully expect from that moment on to field phone call after phone call of, we want to come to Bryant. We want to come to Bryant. And after that, folks, literally, sky's the limit. So that's where we're at. That's why this project, because I believe Bryant's best bet is the entertainment industry and to capture the experience economy. And these individuals, these young folks, and all across the board, we're going to have a venue that is going to reach every demographic, every age group. They will spend money in Bryant. They will shop in Bryant. They will eat in Bryant. They will come to Bryant and spend the night to go to the show the next day. This is our opportunity right here to have an economic driver that this city has never seen. So that's why I made contact with Rick. That's why it's this project. It is what I call in that experience economy. This is soft money from the standpoint of they come, they stay, they spend, they leave. And hopefully some of them fall in love with our community and they come back and buy a house and put their kids in school. So,
Thank you, Shane. Okay, very good. Now let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts.
Are we not gonna have an altar call after that? Well, we got an altar call after that. Let's take off the plate and
Oh, you're killing me. All right, we get to the exciting stuff.
Yeah.
How about some contracts? Shane mentioned the land, that's the first thing here. We've got MOU. Go ahead, Ted, I'm sorry.
Yes, so we talked about who,
Yeah.
what, where. Now I guess we need to talk about the how and the mechanics of it. And architects do very well at speaking of crowds, engineers not so well, thanks Dave. But essentially, we've identified the place. We are currently, it's not in your packet, but we're working on a memorandum of understanding with that property.
It's in there.
It is
We're
in
gonna
there?
get it in there.
Okay. And that obligates us for a $3 million price tag for that 15 acres. It's a contingent offer based on approval of council. It's also based off of the bond initiative getting passed on May 13th, which the mayor can explain how we got to these dates on this coming up. The following, Rick did an excellent job of identifying what a CMAR is. He pointed out that, sorry Rick, if this goes over, you're writing some checks. And that's the part of the at-risk part.
I don't mind y'all's partner.
His price tag for that portion is $2 million. There's also a bonus incentive for every dollar he comes in under for a 25% refund. But all of that is based off of a selection of venue, size and design, including the city, the architect, and the operator. His offer is also contingent on council approval and bond initiative passing May 13th. Next comes the architect engineering firm. David, thanks, did a wonderful job on that. His overall price is based off the construction cost of the 7.5% fee. However, there is an ask on that up front. We need $42,000 to generate a conceptual drawing to get Rick going so he can start from costing. We need that initial balance so that we can figure out how much this thing's going to cost. Will it match our bond initiative amount? What do we sell to the people? Which we know Shane can do a pretty good job to.
Yeah.
So we need that level of concept, and we need that basically by next council meeting, next Tuesday. The rest of his contract, once again, is contingency based on council approving all of this, as well as the bond initiative passing May 13th. Finally, the program director or operator, which we've identified as Arkansas Entertainment. I believe we listed this as a Walton Arts Foundation doing business as. And they would have a contract for 25 years. We've modeled this contract based off of our previous projects we have where we have city constructed facilities like the Bishop that's got the Boys and Girls Club in it, the Senior Center, and also all the tournament play programs are in there. So we have a precedence of being able to do that. The 25-year contract gives us an opportunity every 5 years to review it to make sure that it's falling within its performance guidelines. This also is a contingent contract based on approval and the bond initiative that we pass. So as the timeline occurs, is next week, we need basically a go-ahead on these contracts, as well as $42,000, of which $5,000, in my understanding, has been pledged by the Saline Economic Development Committee to fund the conceptual. And then come January 28th, we need to decide on whether or not we're going to move this on to a bond council for a vote May 13th, so that we can notify the county as soon as possible. It's a 70-day notice. Pretty much that's it as far as the how. Is there any questions regarding that?
Any questions on the contracts? I hope you've had a chance to read those. Okay. Yes, sir.
The remainder of your January 1 sworn in to the council. I presume the council members that are not here, that you shared our contracts with them as well.
So this was, when this agenda was published for this workshop, it became public, all the contracts, and we met with as many as we can and going on with this.
So they should be prepared at the next Tuesday.
So we'll be able to, tomorrow, we'll be able to post this meeting on YouTube, and I'll be asking all the council members that weren't able to be here to watch this. Again, this meeting will be a tool we get to share with as many people as we can. So part of the timeline crunch is that if we're going to have an election, May 13th is the only date legally council can set a special election. You got to have that ordinance passed 70 days in advance. We didn't want to be around the February dates because it's a little bit too close for comfort, so we pushed it back, thought if we can get this stuff done for the January council. So January 28th is our deadline to come to council and ask you to set an ordinance for a special election. We're working with Stevens and Cruz and Associates, others. We're talking about how that all gets done. Backing that up to Tuesday. At this point, the big ask for council on Tuesday will be a budget adjustment for the $37,000 to which Saline County Economic Development Commission's pledged the other 5 to begin this design phase and research phase. That what we want to be able to do between December 17th and January 28th, as we talk about the design, talk about what fits, what's going to be the best use of this facility. It'll be different than any other facility in the state because we want to make sure we capture every opportunity to keep it full. And so that's why it was so important for you to introduce, for me, y'all to get to know these experts, because our goal is to have a presentation for you on January 28th, not only the pretty pictures, but real data for why this makes sense for the residents of Bryant. What we want to be able to say is, this is what we're asking of you. It's a big ask, $30 million. And this is why we believe it makes the most sense for us at this time in our history. And anytime we're going to ask people to enter the ballot box and make a decision, we want to give them all the information and be as transparent as possible from what we're trying to do. So, council, if you'll agree to these contracts on the 17th, pass that budget adjustment, we come back the 28th of January with a full presentation of why we would ask you to set that special election. At that point, you set that special election, we hand the ball off to the Chamber of Commerce. They will be leading the charge for the campaign. At that point, the city's job is to provide as much information as possible. Educate, and the Chamber's role will be to encourage the folks to vote yes on both. So again, this is just where we are in the process. There are detailed questions. A lot more is going to be worked on between now and January to fill in all the gaps. What is this going to look like? How many square feet is it going to be? What all are we going to be offering? We're going to have all those answers then. But we can't get to that next phase without being where we are right now and asking to take that next step in that initial investment. All right, so council questions, anything we haven't covered that you have questions, comments? We've said a lot. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
I have a question. That's why he looks at me. So you talked about the construction phase. Once you get to the permit to the end? How long is that gonna take you typically? I mean, I know there's things out of your control, the weather,
I'm not
the.
even gonna ask you. Very good question. The most polite answer I can give is I don't know. And there's a good reason for that. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Oh, that's true. True.
You know, I've toured some other similar facilities of interest. They're the quote ballroom style, which basically means flat floor. And we're gonna be taking some field trips, I presume soon, assuming our contracts are approved. So, and then, you know, the architects, I'm not trying to avoid this, I'll try not to go all the way around the barn and give you an answer. I'll try to go part way. These guys, this $40,000 is a lot of money to anybody. I understand that. I'm not trying to undermine it or even placate you, but these guys are going to really work overtime to get you guys the concept out that you need in time for that January 28th. So hopefully, once we have at least that much, in addition to some field trips, in addition to this man and these two guys, this team, I just can't emphasize the importance they have in getting conceptually back over to these guys so that my team can consume this and we can talk about actually building something. And, you know, we'll begin to be able to identify a little bit of work idea from historical civil engineering and our earthwork and that sort of thing, our parking lots, et cetera, and can determine a little bit of time on that. So, and then part of our guaranteed maximum price, as I'm certain you've understood when you read our contract, we have to give also a schedule, a timeline for this project. So the answer to that is coming, and it's coming sooner rather than later. So long as I can push these guys into coming to meetings, drinking coffee, eating donuts all night long, and providing us a product, and then we can answer that question. I'm sorry, that's what I can give.
Another question. You talked about the maximum occupancy of this facility. What kind of occupancy in terms of events for the AMP do you have? I mean, how often, and of course it's an outdoor venue, so you have limitations. I mean, how full is,
Go ahead, Brian.
just around, I mean,
Well, the AMP's capacity is just a little under 11,000, depending on how we're seating configuration. Last year, we did 49 major concerts, about 10 other fine events, a couple of those were symphonic events. And that's honestly a number of concerts we really never imagined that we'd be hosting. We thought it was more in the 30 range, but the market has kind of driven the product to come in there.
good.
Are those mostly on Friday nights or throughout the week?
They are any day of the week that routes. I've been telling people for 20 years as a concert promoter, whether it's my club or Walmart Amp, we've been blessed to make a living as a great gas money stop because you route east, west, north, south, and really it's in my world, premium nights are nice, but sometimes if you want to get the best ride deal for the market and not have to overpay, you know, if it's a Sunday through Thursday, you have to take it as well because the artist and the actor are selling tickets at the end of the day more than the night of the week.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'd like to echo a question that we had here in our last council meeting from one of our citizens who made a comment about the number of other similar venues that are within, I believe he said, 45-minute drive of Bryant. And you guys have talked about how unique and unusual, maybe not unusual, but unique this facility will be. Can you, in about 2 or 3 bullet points, explain what makes it unique from everybody else?
Yes, sir.
I think you're up to bat.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the work that we're doing now is to try to identify what is unique about those venues and what we will be asking Oak Stanley to do with this venue that will set it apart. It could be the way it's laid out, it could be capacity issues, it could be the genres that it can handle, it could be the types of events it could do. So we're studying that right now. We're studying all of those venues. There are venues that people are talking about that are yet to be built. And so we're trying to listen to see what's out there and what people are talking about. In general, what we try to do is we're going to maximize this design to fit where we want it to go and maximize the ability to get the best artists and be able to get it and be able to make it make sense, whether it's tax revenues or the ability to make the numbers work. Brian and I talk about this a lot with Jeff. Everybody thinks they can do concerts, and it's not true. I mean, we lose millions of dollars on concerts because we do a lot for nonprofit. We do a lot of art, and you just can't make it work. 42% of our revenue comes from ticket sales, and yet we raise 20% of our revenue just to cover all the other expenses that are covered with it. So I think this particular venue will be unique because we will make sure that it has the right pieces. You also have to think of the players that are out there. Right now you have, which I know is a casino in Hot Springs. And they have a room, I think it's about, what do you think, 1,500?
1,250.
They don't buy talent the way that we buy talent. They don't buy talent, they don't really care what they pay. Oh, that's not public, oops. Their motive is very different. We buy artists at a price that makes sense, we try to, because we know we have to sell tickets against it. They're buying people to get them in the door to be able to do other things. And so that will go into the framework of how we do things. We also have, we also will be studying what those relationships they have with which partners they use, what managers, what agents, and all of that. So that when we come up with the right design and the fit and all the pieces, we will know what we have to do to make it work. Not sure I addressed exactly what you asked, but
Those are good responses.
Very good.
Thank you.
Take a shot at it. To your point, in your question, in studying the experience economy, what their expertise brings to the table is they have had and do have venues and partners that have been to school in the experience economy. And they have the expertise to develop a facility that caters to that genre, to that mentality, to that approach, because they're after two things. Number one is the experience on the consumer side. They want the consumer to walk away from that venue saying that was awesome. The lights, the sound, the atmosphere, the feel, the comforts, everything about it. I'll go to a show there anytime. And then you have the entertainer side. The entertainer isn't so much necessarily attracted to the 30,000 seat stadium as much as they are, did you take care of me and my crew? Did I enjoy my experience performing there? Did I move the crowd? All of these intimacies are interwoven together to create a dynamic facility that the top artists will forego a larger venue to play this style of venue for the experience. They were taken care of. Little things that I have learned in studying other facilities, including the one in Rogers, is the little creature comforts that we wouldn't think about. For example, do you have laundry service for me and my crew? We've been on the road now for 30 days, and we need to wash our stuff. How's your food? How is your, when you bring in a meal for me and my crew, is it a meal that we go, wow? Because those are the types of venues we want to perform at. And that's the type of venue that this team is after, one that is the only one in Arkansas that others will look at and go, I will play there and I will buy a ticket there. And that is priority. That's what I've learned through studying this whole global picture of this type of venue.
Any other questions? Council? Public comments. We have anyone want to share a public comment?
I'm pretty excited about this, sorry.
Come on up. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Lived in Bryan all my life, fourth generation on one side, third generation on the other. I think it's great. My concern as president of the Bryan Historical Society and our museum that we've just gotten open is, are you going to take, in that area, there's a lot of history. So are y'all going to take into consideration maybe some of the historic sites that are there? And how are you going to maybe, I'd like to see it work into the venue some way, the historic side of it. And then on the negative side, I just don't like that being called the new Bryant. That's me. This is Bryant right here. This is Bryant. This is what I grew up with. This is what I know. But I know that we do, it's progress.
Yeah.
And I just think it's great. And I wish when I was growing up here, we had this kind of stuff. So that's my comments and my question about the historic part of it.
Yeah, I think we definitely will be informing them as to who we are as a city. They've already been asking these questions. They want to build something that is for us, right? We want to build something that fits our community, our culture, and reflects that, but also is just successful and stays full. So yes, ma'am.
Yep, thank you.
Ms. Hoover?
I'm just excited about this. I did have a question on the competition you brought up. What other venues are considered competition besides, say, Saracen? I'm just curious what you're all looking at as far as.
Barton Coliseum, probably.
Let me answer it this way. Is there any venue that you think competes with the Walton Arts Center in the state?
No, sir.
No.
And I say that with love in my heart, not
Yes.
not with malice. And I say that because as we explore this project, we're going to be doing it at the highest level we think we can do. And we're not a casino, where we have very different alternative reasons for doing it. We're going to do it to meet the needs of the city of Bryant, our community, your community, this region, and the state. And we like our leadership role, and we want to stay there.
Now you know why I recommend
Full advance.
I'm excited to see what kind of talent we can bring.
Somebody mentioned Barton Coliseum. I mean, it's going to be brought back to life. Kid Rock's having his 10 small city tour, and that's going to be a crazy thing. I don't know if I'll be able to afford to go.
There's that way. Are you saying you're buying a ticket?
I already looked at the prices.
I want to see a Wade Perlman selfie at Kid Rock. And we will post it on the city Facebook page.
I want to be a cowboy, baby.
That made Walter turn red.
That's perfect to end on. Wade, again, if you have any questions, let us know. We look forward to being back.
I got one thing I'd like to say together. So Marketplace Center, we started 5 years ago, and as all know, Walmart came to Bryant. My dad, Curtis Ferguson, brought Walmart to Bryant sometime in the early 90s in the old Marketplace area. So there was a group called Bryant Realty that assimilated and built the property basically from the water tower to Reynolds Road over a period of time. And we were thrilled to have Walmart in Bryant. We got the first Cracker Barrel in Arkansas, and there was a lot of momentum in Bryant in the 90s into the early 2000s. The 20 acres behind Walmart was kind of earmarked for Sam's at the time Walmart came. You know, Walmart had some intentions to probably bring Sam's here. And then over time, that kind of went away, and they, you know, said, not going to happen. So as the Bryant Realty Group aged out, I was building houses in Bryant, Haskell, whatever. The guys that I'd known all my life started calling me and saying, we're done, will you take it? So I would buy a little piece here and there, and so we were doing things. And so I ended up with the Marketplace Center in 2017 or 2018. And it was the dog that caught the car. So what do we do now? You know, so after about a year of meeting with Bryant, I had thoughts, they had thoughts, and we kind of landed on something that we really started in 2019 and opened in March of 2020. What a great time to open restaurants and places. But anyway, it was a different vision than had been brought to Bryant. It was, in my vision for Marketplace Center, beyond Walmart, thankfully they're there, but beyond the Sam's concept, there's a lot to what Shane had to say. And this is a Bryant-Benton community is basically one area. My grandfather was born on Boswell Road in 1896. I mean, I'm a Bryant guy that went to Benton School. My mother was right 4th, 5th, 6th, who knows how many generations Bryant. But my vision for Marketplace Center was not to bring in the next big thing. It was to have a place for people that lived in Saline County, that wanted to work in Saline County, their kids go to school here, give them a place to live out their dream. So we've got 50 some odd businesses of people, many of them have never been in business before, and we wanted to bring a product that they could afford. And this is what I tell new people that come to me to try to open up something. I said, you've got a dream that's going to become a reality, then in about 2 years it's going to be a nightmare. And we don't want that, right? So the Marketplace Center hit at the right time, and it's a successful area that spans a very wide use. We've got everything from plumbers to, you know, restaurants and everything in between boutiques. When Blue House moved out there a couple of years ago, that's when the boutiques came in, and that was the next step. We needed retail, and we've got it. And it's coming every day. We're adding more, adding more, adding more. If this venue goes in across the street, you want to talk about game changer. I don't know how many of you have been to the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville. It's $400 a ticket. You better be on Ticketmaster when it's announced, or you're not getting in. You know, it's a game changer, and it's the right thing. It is the right thing at the right time, because as Shane said so well, you know, the one thing we didn't want at Marketplace Center was the next big Best Buy that came in and built this big box, and then it went dark. And that's the thing, I think, with these venues, and Robinson Auditorium is a prime example. I mean, these things don't have a life cycle. They live forever. You know, they just go on and on and on. So I'm thrilled to death to have y'all. I think it's an unbelievable opportunity. I think that we've got to get the right campaign in place to educate the people, to let them understand, yes, you are going to pay half a cent, which you got to pay for 19 years anyway, but it's the bigger picture. It's a very low impact use with a very, very high return. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm going to tell you what I think the difference is with this venue versus Oaklawn or Saracen or whatever. Robinson Auditorium is an awesome place, but their use is so limited. This place can have an unlimited use. You can bring everyone that would come to Robinson, but you can also bring everyone that will come to Simmons. It's the same. I mean, you got it all, and that's the deal. That is the deal. You're going to get the arts, you're going to get the music, you're going to get so many varied uses that it's not going to be limited for our area to the amphitheater crowd, right? It's all demographics, it's all ages can use this place. And I just can't believe y'all are here. It's unbelievable to have you. I hope it works. I think we've all got a big job in front of us to push it over the line. But I think they can do it in 90 days. I'm going to answer your question for you. I think they can do it in 90 days. Thank y'all for coming. Shane, Chris, and your vision, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Thank you,
We have
Mark.
the opportunity to have this.
Yeah, he, lots of great stories, run-ins with, some Bryant police officers back in the 80s.
Yeah, the car's back against us a little bit. When the cop cars have the eggs and the biscuits to bomb us when we're coming through town on the parades, I mean, you have no shot.
Yeah.
You got the cops on their side, you have no shot.
Let's not share all that stuff.
All right, so we'll shut it down. Thanks to everybody. We're very excited to see you again, January 28th.